Welcome to this live in the lab room free agency broadcast. I, of course, am your host, Louie Tee. Thank you for joining me. As always, what could it be for me, your man, Louie Tee? Welcome. You are in the lab room live. You are looking live at your man, Louie Tee, doing a live free agency broadcast. We're talking NFL free agency. I want to kind of go over the last 2 days of free agency, kind of talk about some of the things that have transpired. I chronicled day one and day two on the podcast. Half of those episodes are up on the YouTube channel as we speak. So if you want to go back in the archives a bit and look at what happened in day one and day two of free agency, go check that out on the podcast or on YouTube. But what I'm going to do is look at day three. Didn't chronicle that on the podcast. Was going to save that for today, as well as some of the moves that have happened already. And if anyone out there happens to be watching, as I look right now, I think I have one viewer. So if anybody happens to be out there watching and you want to comment, make sure if you're on Twitter, you use the hashtag Louie Tee Live. If you want to drop something in the comment section, feel free. On the YouTube channel, if you're watching via YouTube, please feel free again to comment. I'll be happy to answer any question, any team, no matter the question, free agency, draft related. I don't care. You got a question, you want to chime in, feel free to do so. That's why I'm doing this live, so that I can interact with you, the viewers out there, as I am doing this simultaneously. So with that being said, I want to kind of look at some of the things that happened yesterday and kind of go back, and that will give us some reference as to what's going on today, because again, some dominoes still have to drop. The biggest one being what's going to happen with Colin Kaepernick, because what happens with him is going to affect all the other quarterbacks. That's going to affect Robert Griffin III. That's going to affect Ryan Fitzpatrick. The biggest domino left to fall at the quarterback position is Colin Kaepernick and where he'll end up. So let's take a step back, though, and look at some of the transactions that took place yesterday. And the biggest one being the Broncos going out and trading for Mark Sanchez with the Eagles, surrendering a 7th-round pick to get the services of Mark Sanchez. Eagles saved $4.5 million in cap space by making this move, and they received a 7th-round pick as compensation for Dirty Chez as he moves on to Denver. And I will say this, the 49ers are being very shrewd in their vetting of these teams. And I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I had actually said that the 49ers were treating the other teams that were interested in Colin Kaepernick like punks. I mean, they are really shaking these teams down, and I feel like they're being Debo. And if you've ever seen the movie Friday, I feel like the 49ers are Debo, and they're rolling up on Smokey, Red, and Craig on Craig's mom's porch, and they're asking each of these guys, what you got on my draft? Okay. And John Elway, being Craig, said, look, man, I ain't got nothing for you. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to let you punk me. I'm going to go out and get Mark Sanchez. I'm going to go get Dirty Chez, and I'm going to bow out gracefully. And the Browns are like, man, I ain't got nothing. And he said, man, I know you got something. And the Browns are red. They look, eventually, they're going to be the team that gives up the 3rd-round pick. And I've heard that the Browns are willing to part ways with the 3rd-round pick, which essentially is a late 2nd-round pick, is what the Browns' 3rd-round pick amounts to, because they're second in the draft. So you're essentially talking about a team that will be picking right around that 64, 65 range. You give that up, you're basically talking about an extension of the 2nd round. So Broncos weren't willing to part ways with their 2nd-round pick, which is probably what the 49ers was doing, was really putting these teams against one another, saying, hey, look, Browns are willing to give me their 3rd. You want to get in front of them, you give me your 2nd right now, we got a deal. And the Broncos like, nah, no way, I'm not giving you my 2nd-round pick. And so I feel like the 49ers are doing a great job of shaking these teams down and vetting them. But at the end of the day, I think the Browns are going to be the team that ends up biting the bullet there and making the move to bring in Colin Kaepernick. And again, keep in mind, most of these teams are going to want to rework the deal that Colin Kaepernick has. It's not a necessity, not like how Robert Griffin III, when he was in Washington, and the Redskins were looking for a trade where it is a necessity. You have to redo it because you're not paying Robert Griffin III $16 million. If a team trades for Colin Kaepernick, it is not a necessity to redo his deal. However, if you want to lower that cap number and you want to make a deal that makes sense for your football team, then that's probably going to be something that does have to happen. So we'll see what happens with that situation. But a number of things did take place yesterday, and I see some comments are starting to come in, and I'll get to them in a second. That's great. I want to hear from you guys. As a matter of fact, I need to go ahead and pull up Twitter while I'm at it because I want to make sure that, and again, if you're going to comment, please use the hashtag Louie Tee Live. Use the hashtag Louie Tee Live because, again, if you don't use me, if you don't send your tweet at me, at least if you use the hashtag, I can go into the hashtag, check it out, type it in, and any comment that has been sent my way will be available for me to look at and read out aloud and answer. So in addition to that, the Jaguars, who have been extremely busy this free agency period, they signed ex-Giants cornerback Prince Amukamara to a one-year deal. So essentially what amounts to a prove-it deal. If he goes out, plays well, he's going to be looking for a bigger payday next year from some team in free agency. So another nice move for the Jaguars, looking to bolster that defense and catch up with an offense that looks very explosive in Jacksonville. Robert Griffin III had dinner with the Jets last night. So he's supposed to be going back to see the Jets on Saturday to have another meeting with them. So we'll see how that goes. I still feel like when it's all said and done, the Jets are doing this big song and dance only to have Ryan Fitzpatrick back in New York, but I could be wrong. They could really want Robert Griffin III because, look, I feel like there are two places that Robert Griffin III could go, and if he were the starter day one, could have some semblance of success, and the Jets would be one of them because in order for Robert Griffin III to be successful, he's going to need three things. He's going to need a stable running game, a stable offensive line, and a team with weapons around him that will allow him to make his job easy. So you're going to have a defense, a run game, and weapons around him. You're going to have to be able to protect him up front. You're going to be able to run the football to keep him out of third and long situations because he does not thrive in that type of environment. You're going to have to protect him because he doesn't read the field very quickly. He doesn't scan through his options and get rid of the football very rapidly. So you're going to have to protect him. But the Jets, of all the teams, them and the Rams, I feel like have a built-in situation for a quarterback to come in and be successful right away. So to me, Los Angeles and New York with the Jets, to me, are the two best landing destinations for Robert Griffin III as it stands right now. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, anything's possible in the National Football League. Let's start getting into some of these comments. You guys have waited long enough, and I thank you again. If you are joining me here on this live feed, once again, if you're on Twitter, use the hashtag Louie Tee Live if you want to get your comment read on the program and potentially answered. So, Aaron McLean, what's going on, Aaron? How you doing, man? I love watching your channel. Keep doing what you're doing, bro. What are your thoughts on Zach Brown being a fit with the Redskins? P.S. I'm a Redskins fan as well. So, I like Zach Brown, and I talked about team speed, okay, being one of the biggest things that I wanted to see the Redskins address this offseason defensively. I want to get faster. That's why losing a guy like Keenan Robinson hurt. But again, they saw things one way. Keenan Robinson saw things another way. They decided to part ways. That's done. We need more athleticism. That's why I wanted Danny Trevathan. Danny Trevathan, he's a Chicago Bear, so he's off the market. So a guy like Zach Brown would be a great fit in the Redskins scheme. Again, another guy that can run and chase. Has never really developed in Tennessee into the player that the Titans wanted him to be. Has never been a guy to be confused with a physical linebacker, and that's another thing that I'm not sure the Redskins would be that enamored with because they like physical linebackers that will come in, put their nose in an offensive lineman, and really be stout at the point of attack, which Zach Brown is not. He's a run and chase linebacker, a guy that would be an upgrade in coverage if you're talking about being able to run with tight ends and running backs out of the backfield. Guy has tremendous speed. So I'd love to see a guy like Zach Brown potentially come into Washington and have an opportunity to compete for playing time because, again, he upgrades speed on a defense that is starving for speed. We don't currently have that. A guy like Zach Brown does, and that would help the Redskins on defense with their, and I've talked about this already. Overall team speed is something that the Redskins lack. I'd love to see them get faster on the defensive side of the football. Let's see if we got any more comments. And again, if you guys got any comments, feel free to knock yourself out. Twitter, you can drop a comment on YouTube. For some reason, I have this Q&A box up here, but it never seems to work. I don't know what I got to do now to get it to work. But if you guys are on Google Plus or you're watching, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to get that thing to work. That's something I'm going to have to troubleshoot to get to work. But it's not a big deal. So until I get some more comments, let's see if I got anything else in the comment section. Don't believe I do, but until I get, let's keep it moving. Got some more news from yesterday. Cowboys re-up with Morris Claiborne, a guy that has been very disappointing. Remember, the Cowboys traded up to get the cornerback out of LSU, Morris Claiborne. They thought he was going to be a big-time playmaker for them at the cornerback position. Hasn't worked out that way, whether it be injuries or lack of production or him actually leaving training camp at one point because he was frustrated because he was benched. It's been a saga for Morris Claiborne in Dallas, but it looks like that saga is going to continue as he signed a deal to remain a Dallas Cowboy. So we'll see a lot more of him moving forward in Dallas. We'll see if his second act in Dallas is better than the first was, because, again, he's been a disappointment for the Cowboys since they drafted him. And, again, when you go up in the draft to draft someone, you're looking for a guy to come in and in the first round to be productive and be a cornerstone of your football team. And Morris Claiborne has been anything but that since joining the Dallas Cowboys. So we'll see if he's able to prove it. Cowboys extend a 1-year prove-it deal to Morris Claiborne. We'll see if he can go out and do exactly that, prove it, and get a bigger deal come next season. Browns finally released Johnny Manziel. We knew it was coming. We were waiting. The biggest problem with Johnny Manziel is that he's got to get the off-the-field stuff squared away before any team even feels remotely comfortable even talking to him, not even signing him, just talking to him. He's got to get the off-the-field situation under control. If he can do that, maybe there will be some suitors out there for him in the future. But he's going to be suspended indefinitely. Don't know when he's going to be reinstated by the league. So I don't see Johnny Manziel having an impact on NFL football field or a roster anytime in the near future. Browns finally rid themselves of Johnny Manziel. Couple of tidbits from today, okay? Some news that has come down today. Martavis Bryant, Steelers wide receiver, could be looking at a full-year suspension. I'm pretty sure it's behind weed. He's been suspended behind weed before. It wouldn't surprise me if he failed another drug test, which would be really frustrating, because after he got suspended last year to start the season, he said that he realized his mistake and that he wouldn't do it again. And to see where we are now and have the situation that has unfolded the way that it potentially might be unfolding with him being that he's a big part of that Steelers offense, believe it or not. The way that they're constructed, he's the guy that takes the top off of the defense, that really keeps you on your heels as a defensive coordinator. Antonio Brown can take the top off the defense, but he works all parts of the field. Martavis Bryant was the guy that you were afraid of at any moment in the game to get you for an 89-yard touchdown. And if he's suspended for an entire year, that makes you wonder, are the Steelers going to have to address the wide receiver position potentially early on in the draft? We'll see, but that could be a huge developing story out in Pittsburgh if he is, in fact, going to be suspended for a whole year for failing another drug test in the league's substance abuse policy. And I'm hearing right now that he's going to appeal it. Guys generally don't win these types of appeals. He may get it reduced from a year to 12 games. That's still a mighty long time for a player that to me is instrumental in the success of the Steelers offensively. Let's see what we got going on. All right, more comments. All right, my man, let's see. Well, let's go all the way back to the bottom and we'll work our way up. I see you, Slip. I'm coming your way, baby. What's going on, Slip? Aaron McCain says, the Giants have done quite a bit of spending. Do you think any of their moves are going to backfire? Right now, I'm going to tell you this much. I am not a staunch supporter of the amount of money given out by the Giants. Let me say this first and foremost before I even continue. I love players getting broken off, period. End of discussion. I love it when players get paid because football is the most physically demanding sport, yet it's the only one where players aren't really guaranteed their contracts. Baseball, you sign your name on a dotted line, you're getting every single penny of that contract. Same with basketball. Football is the only sport where guys don't get all of their money and they're tossed aside, and it's a physical sport. And we've seen the damage that football can do to your body, to your mind. And so I love when guys get paid. Get your money, man. Get your bread. And so with that being said, the Giants have made a number of huge moves this offseason. Look, the offense was fine last year, okay? That wasn't the problem. The problem was they couldn't stop anybody. And so when you look at what they've done in free agency, I love the signing of Janoris Jenkins. They needed a cornerback. That's an instant upgrade over any cornerback they had on the roster last year, including Prince Amukamara, who's no longer there, who's now a Jacksonville Jaguar. You look at Damon Harrison, to me, was the best nose tackle, pure nose tackle on the market this season. Maybe Ian Williams of the 49ers, who went back to San Francisco, was right there 1A, 1B in terms of pure nose tackles. But Damon Williams isn't happening on first and second down. If you're trying to run the football, you can forget about it if you're running in Snacks' direction. And so that's a big pickup for them along the defensive line to go get JPP. And I think he's going to be a year more comfortable with that club on his hand. He's going to learn how to work around his hand not being fully functional the way that it used to be before the firecracker accident. So I think that's a good sign to bring him back for a year and see if he can prove himself and get a bigger deal next year. And then Olivier Vernon, the biggest deal of them all. A lot of money for a guy that really hasn't shown the ability to be a 15-sack a season guy, but the potential may be there. I think he's just scratching the surface, and I think that's what the Giants are paying for. Again, when guys get contracts, it's not what you've done in the past. It's your past performances being a future indicator as to what you're going to bring to the table, and I think the Giants are paying Olivier Vernon for his ability to get to the quarterback and what they think could manifest itself into a big-time pass-rushing threat in this league in the future. I like all of their moves, to be honest with you. I don't think there's one thing the Giants have done right now that I look at and I scoff at and I say, you just made a mistake, including signing Redskins ex-linebacker Keenan Robinson to a one-year deal. That I think he's a upgraded linebacker for them, athletically gifted, and I think if he's put in positions to make plays, that's exactly what he's going to do for that Giants defense. I feel like the Giants have made some wonderful moves, including getting Victor Cruz to restructure his deal so they could get some of that money back. And they literally went to Victor Cruz and said, you got one or two options, man. You can take a pay cut or get cut. And Victor Cruz said, hey, man, I'll take that pay cut, man. What do I sign? So Giants have made a lot of good moves this offseason. They're looking to revamp that defense. And as a whole, the face of this franchise, they haven't made the playoffs since they won the Super Bowl the last time in 2011. Think about that for a second. So they're trying to make some big moves to get back to where they were. I thought they've done some really good things this offseason. My man Slip, what's going on, Slip? Slip Ammo asks the following. Let's see. You think Sanchez can lead Denver to a division title in a first-round bye? And do you think Denver will use a first or second rounder on a running back? Okay, so let me tackle the first question you asked about Dirty Chaz. Look, anything's possible in the National Football League. Keep in mind, Dirty Chaz once led the New York Jets to 2 straight AFC championship games. Now, that seems like eons ago. And remember, what was the formula back then when he did it? You guessed it. Great defense and a running game. What do they have in Denver? Maybe don't have the greatest of running games yet. Maybe they will have a much better running game because the running game wasn't great last year. It was okay. It wasn't great. But they do have the defense. Now, that defense, and when you win the Super Bowl, this is something that comes with the territory, has been picked apart like leftovers in the fridge, okay? This team has been gutted straight down the middle. No more Danny Trevathan. No more Malik Jackson. They're going to have to find ways around those guys who are no longer there. Okay, so DeMarcus Ware, a year older, and he just restructured his deal so he could come back. That's something that came down today. So he'll be back as a third down situational pass rusher in Denver, but they're going to have to work around some of the losses. And that's what happens when you win the Super Bowl. Teams are going to poach free agents off your football team. You can't re-sign everybody. So can Dirty Chaz go out and do it? Sure he can. But they've got to put him in a situation where he's not having to win ball games. Simple as that. We know Dirty Chaz isn't going out, slinging a football around and beating teams. He will make mistakes if you put him in that kind of position. But if you keep Dirty Chaz on a leash and you say, hey, you're only throwing it 20 to 25 times a game. We're going to play defense. Please don't turn it over. Safe throws. He can go out. I'm not saying a first-round bye. That's a stretch to me. I don't think he's good enough to lead the Denver Broncos to a 12-4, 13-3 record in the AFC. I just don't see that happening. But what he can do is still help them win that division. What he can do is get them in the back door with a wild card berth. And anything can happen when you get to the postseason with that kind of defense. All bets are off. So, no, I don't think Dirty Chaz can lead the Broncos to a first-round bye, but I do think he can lead them to the playoffs if the situation is set up for him to succeed. Now, keep this in mind. The Broncos are not done with the quarterback position. Just because they went out and got Dirty Chaz doesn't mean they're still not looking actively to get a guy like Colin Kaepernick and bring him in. Okay, I think Dirty Chaz is on the last year of his deal, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not like the Dirty Chaz is the long-term solution. So they may go in the draft and get a guy. They may go out and still trade for someone. They may even still call up Ryan Fitzpatrick. Who knows? All bets are still off in Denver. Everything's still on the table. We'll see what happens with the Denver Broncos. And as far as them taking a running back, I think they're going to take a running back in the second round. I think if a guy falls to them in the first round, at the back half of the first round, that they didn't expect, like a Derrick Henry out of Alabama, I think they take him at 31. I don't expect Derrick Henry to be there at 31. I just don't. So with that being said, I think they look to take a back at 63 in the second round, and I think they would love to get their hands on a guy like Devontae Booker. I don't expect Devontae Booker to be there at 63 in the second round, but there will be a number of other backs that will be around at 63 that I think can help the Broncos and come in and be an immediate contributor. Now, I will say this, C.J. Anderson, remember, he has been signed to an offer sheet by the Dolphins. Broncos have 5 days to match. Now it's 4 because that offer sheet was signed yesterday. So they have 4 days to match. Broncos said initially that they were going to match any offer that he got on the free agent market. I don't hold them to that. I don't know if they're going to do that or not. But if they bring back C.J. Anderson, that, of course, changes what they're going to do as far as the running back position is concerned. But if C.J. Anderson walks in free agency, you bet your bottom dollar they're drafting a first or a second round back. Go ahead and book it right now. Let's see. We got more comments. Keep them coming. And I'm checking Twitter right now. I don't think we got anything. Oh, we got some Twitter action. So I'm going to jump on that Twitter action right after I get to some of this, some more of this Facebook action. So let's go down the list. Andre Rios. What's up, Drake? How do you think Bruce Irvin and Khalil Mack will complement each other? Both very versatile. I love what the Raiders have done. Absolutely love it. What the Raiders have done in free agency. They go and they protect Derek Carr, their investment on the offensive side of football, hopefully open up some more holes for the L-Train Latavius Murray in the process with Kelechi Osemele. But then you also go out and you solidify the defense. And what won in your division last year? Defense, defense, and more defense. The Chiefs made it to the playoffs off of their defense. The Denver Broncos won the Super Bowl off of their defense. Look around the division at what everybody else is doing. And what are they doing? They're doing defense. So what did the Raiders say we need to do? We need to do defense. So not only did they go out and get Bruce Irvin to pair up with Khalil Mack, they went out and got Sean Smith to pair up with David Emerson. DA played some outstanding football for them. Now you got 2 big corners and 2 pass rushers that can go hunt the quarterback. I love it. If Mario Williams Jr. can come back, Mario Edwards Jr. can come back from that neck surgery, and I'm hoping that the neck is all right, everything checks out, and he's able to come back. But if he comes back and plays anyway and anywhere close to what he did last season, along with those guys out on the edge, Look out for the Oakland Raiders in the AFC West. I love the move going out and getting Bruce Irvin to come in and take some of that pressure off of Khalil Mack. Teams know what he's about now. The man had 15 sacks last year. Teams are going to double team him. Now with Bruce Irvin on the other side, you got to think twice about potentially double teaming a guy like Khalil Mack, because Bruce Irvin, with some speed and athleticism on the other side, can get you if you're not careful. So I do like what the Raiders have done in free agency. Not just going out and getting a Bruce Irvin, but going out and getting a Kelechi Osemele and going out and getting a Sean Smith and really helping this team take some steps to that next level. Looking for the Raiders to make a huge monumental leap forward in 2016. Do the Patriots... Cali Swag 1738 asks the following. Do the Patriots need a wide receiver in the 2016 NFL draft? Do we need water for our bodies to survive? Hell yeah, the Patriots need a receiver in 2016. They just released, and he really wasn't that big of a part of the offense anyway, but they just released Brandon LaFell. They went out and signed 7-11 away from the Buffalo Bills, which is something we've seen the Patriots do. You know, another white receiver to add to the mix of already good white receivers that they have out there. But it's time for them to go get a brother. It's time for them to inject this offense with some speed, okay? They need a guy like Will Fuller out of Notre Dame. They need a guy that can take the top off of the defense. Teams were playing the Patriots all year long, all up and down the field like they were in the red zone. The Patriots could be at midfield, teams were playing them like they were in the red zone. Patriots could be at their own 35-yard line, teams were playing them like they were in the red zone. You know why? Nobody with deep speed on the football team that scared them. So we can pack everything in, make Tom Brady be surgical with the football, and make him have to do what he did last year, which is be very judicious with the football, but in a short, tight space. A lot of short passes, a lot of catches after the run. The only guy that scares you on that offense outside of Gronk is Julian Edelman, but Julian Edelman isn't beating you deep, okay? The only guy that could stretch the field was Gronk, but Gronk isn't beating you deep either if you're paying attention to him. If you fall asleep, Gronk will run by you like he did on fourth down in the AFC divisional round playoff game, or championship game. So, look, at the end of the day, yes, the Patriots need a receiver, and they need to actually do this the right way. We've seen them do this before. Bethel Johnson, Chad Jackson. We've seen them fail in the draft at receiver. They need to get it right this time, and a guy that could help them could be Notre Dame's Will Fuller. That's a guy that I would love to see the Patriots go out and take a flyer on at the next level. Let's see what else we got going on. More. Mr. A. Miles, what up, man? What's going on with you? Good to hear from you. Emerson was underrated last year. Finished with Marcus Peters and deflections with 26. Look, I know what you know, and I know that you know, and you know that I know that you know what Damon Emerson was doing out there. I know what DA. Look, as a Redskins fan, I had vested interest in DA. I wanted to see that man do well. Just because he didn't work out in Washington, you knew I was paying attention to what he was doing out there with the Raiders. So I know what David was doing. You know what David was doing. That's all that matters. David was playing some ball out there for y'all. And if he can continue to do that, see, it's not that David can't ball. David doesn't ball consistently. So if David can go out and ball consistently for 2 years in a row, because he looked damn good in his rookie season with us. I thought he was okay in year 2. He was putrid in year 3, and that's why they got rid of him. And I thought he was putrid down the stretch in year 2. So it's, can he come back next year, build off of what he did in 2015, and come back and have an even stronger 2016 campaign? Mr. A. Miles asks again, Raiders hype. Do you think the Raiders can win the Super Bowl in the next 3 years? 1 year at a time, man. Slow down. I got a buddy of mine. As a matter of fact, my best friend, one of my best friends, is a Raiders fan. So we talk Raiders football all the time. And I told him, because he was talking crazy, I told him, 1 step at a time, young grasshopper. Okay? And my barber is a Rams fan. And I told him the same thing last year. Don't go too far into the future. Look, I want you to just take care of what you can see right in front of you. Okay? Don't look too far ahead. When you start looking too far ahead, that's how you trip over obstacles right in front of you. Okay? Get a winning record first. Matter of fact, get the 500 first. You haven't done that since good old Q made you 8-8 a few years back. Get over 500. Then make the playoffs. Okay? And maybe you do that all in 1 year. That'd be great. But do that first. Then we'll start talking about maybe you guys hoisting a Lombardi or something crazy like that. But do me a favor. focus on the goal right in front of you, which is a winning record and a trip to the playoffs. You guys currently have the second longest drought in the NFL, missing the postseason. The Bills still haven't made it since 1999. Ouch. But you're not that far behind, okay? 2002, when you went to the chip with Rich Gannon and company, you haven't been back to the playoffs since. So how about you end that first, and then we'll talk about the Super Bowl later. All right. Let's see what else we got, man. JT12, the 12th man, or JT12, the 12th man, asks the following. What do you think about the Texans' moves? Man, oh man. Let me get some of this Twitter love. All right. I'm coming to you at Jedi Knight. And I'm coming to you next. I didn't forget about you on Twitter. All right. Let me answer this first. Because I thought that of all the teams that have made moves in the AFC, outside of the Raiders, maybe the Jags too, I've been really impressed with the Jaguars and their movement. The Texans have done a lot. And look, they didn't need to do a lot, okay? We saw what they were able to do with the defense, and they didn't even have a semblance really of a running game. Nobody scared you in that backfield. Were you scared of Hilliard? Alfred Blue? No, none of these guys scared you. Chris Polk? Nah, man. None of those dudes scared me. So now when you go out and get a guy like Lamar Miller, you know how I feel about Lamar Miller. My goodness, that dude can go. And so you give him some space to run. And you did lose Ben Jones. I was not a fan of that. I would have loved to have seen you bring Ben Jones back. Okay, you can't bring everybody back. I've already said that. But to have a guy like Lamar Miller and Brock Osweiler, to me, the biggest move in free agency right now is the Texans getting their hands on Brock Osweiler. I will say this much. The Texans. Your fan base, the fan base, I don't know if you're a Texans fan, so I can't say it, but the Texans fan base has went bananas. I was on Twitter 2-3 days ago when the news first broke about Brock Osweiler, and there was a GIF and a hashtag Brock Party that was going around, and everyone was posting different GIFs of people celebrating and getting it all excited. And I'm just saying, hey, I'm a cautious optimist, so I'm just saying, look, I'm not opposed to everybody getting excited because Brock Osweiler can't be any worse than what you had at quarterback last year. I can assure you of that, okay? But you don't know Brock Osweiler. You don't know him. You don't. 7 starts. That's it. You don't know the dude. So before we start throwing Brock Osweiler a Brock party and anointing him the next big thing at the quarterback position, let's see some more of this movie, man. I haven't seen the whole movie. I don't know how this movie ends, okay? So I want to see more of the movie, man. I got my popcorn, got my beverage right here. I want to see some more of this Brock Osweiler movie. It looks intriguing. I'm intrigued. I know you are. But I want to see more. I want to see more of the movie. But I'm excited about what the Texans have done. Just those 2 moves alone got me excited about what the Texans could be in that AFC South division, because that's not a strong division. It's not. We don't know what Andrew Luck's going to look like coming back in Indy. The Titans are still trying to find their way. That division is a wide open, and I think the Texans could do some serious damage. And if they could just get Brock Osweiler to give them a little bit of what you saw last year when he took over for Peyton Manning, this team could be dangerous in the AFC. Let me get on this Twitter real quick, man. At Jedi Knight NY asks the following. Do you think Mike Glennon will be traded, and for what do you think if the Jets got him? Dude's a beast. Look, I've been talking about Mike Glennon for at least 3 years now. I've been screaming, free Mike Glennon, man. Free Mike Glennon. If I had a sign and enough energy and resources, I'd go out to Tampa and I'd protest outside of the facility. Free Mike Glennon, man. That being said, we don't know Mike Glennon either. We think we know Mike Glennon. I'd love to see him get an opportunity. I really would. But the Buccaneers are holding this man hostage. And I don't know what the market is for Mike Glennon. I haven't heard his name mentioned once this offseason. 2 years ago, Mike Glennon's name was circulating and teams were interested and they were willing to potentially give something up. But the Bucs said, hey, you want Mike Glennon, you're going to have to come off some serious draft picks, man. We about to rape you. And everybody's like, hey, oh. You're talking Mike Glennon here. We need to scale down the price a little bit. Buccaneers like, we don't have to trade Mike Glennon. You want Mike Glennon. I'm not trying to get rid of him. I like him as my backup quarterback. Do you have a quarterback, though? So Bucs have been holding Mike Glennon hostage. I'd love to see a team. I'd love to see him go to the Jets. I think he'd come in, and instantly the Jets are to me, a serious competitor in the AFC East if they get their hands on Mike Glennon. And I think he's the guy that could be your quarterback of the future. I love Mike Glennon. But again, it's not up to me. It's not up to anybody else. You got to go out and get Mike Glennon. And are you willing to give up what it's going to take to get Mike Glennon? You would think a fourth or a fifth round pick would be good enough to get Mike Glennon away from the Buccaneers. But if that was the case, I would have thought that someone would have already offered that up for him by now. So I'm thinking the Bucs probably got a steep price, third round pick. Nobody's trying to part ways with a third rounder for a guy that hasn't proven himself in the league. So it is what it is at this point. I mean, Dirty Chaz, who's been to 2 AFC championships, but we already know who he is as a quarterback. The Eagles got a 7th round pick now. Again, Eagles were trying to dump guys. So they were willing to give him away for a hot ham and cheese sandwich and a bag of chips and a juice box. I don't think the Buccaneers are looking for a hot ham and cheese sandwich, a juice box, and a bag of Lay's chips. So I think they want a little bit more than that, man. You're going to have to take them boys out to Chick-fil-A and get them a combo or something. I don't think teams are trying to come up off that. So we'll see. I'd love to see the Jets get their hands on long neck, but I just don't see it happen. I just don't. Keep it coming on Twitter. Again, if you're on Twitter, Louie Tee Live is the hashtag. All right, back to YouTube. We got plenty of action on YouTube, so I'm going to go back to YouTube. I got a backlog on YouTube. Let's see. Thank you, Dre. Andre Rio says, one step at a time, LOL. That's the motto in Oakland. That should be the motto. One step at a time. I've already answered that. Emerson was outstanding. Love the guy. Andre Rios again. All right, look. You know how I feel about DA. I thought he went out and balled for y'all last year. So pairing him up with Sean Smith seems like a great move on paper. We'll see how that goes when we start counting the games for real in September. Okay, we already talked about that. AJ Rowe asked the following. Hey, Lou, as a Packers fan, free agency is a difficult time. I see that what we do works, but it's frustrating to see players that can help us going elsewhere. My question is, do you see the Packers? And I don't have the rest of the question up here. So I don't know what else you asked at the end. Because it won't let me view the rest of your question. However, I'm just going to answer because I think I know where you're going with the question. So I'm trying my best to answer it with what you've already said. Yeah, look, I said this on my podcast. If you haven't had a chance to check out the podcast, please do so. In the Lab Room podcast, it's on iTunes, it's on Stitcher. I've been giving you a little bit of a taste on YouTube with half of the episode, so please check that out. But in the first day of free agency on the podcast, I told you, there are no winners and losers. Don't let people psych you up into thinking they're winners and losers in free agency, okay? Because the Cleveland Browns have lost 4 or 5 guys in free agency and really haven't signed anybody. Are they losers? Because the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Giants have went out and spent money and bought up just about every free agent on the market. Are they winners? No. There's spenders and there's non-spenders. What's your team? And you know what your team is. Your team is a non-spender. And I'm going to tell you this right now. The teams that make the playoffs, go look around the league, okay? Do yourself a favor. Look around the league, all right? Look at all the teams that made the playoffs last year. Look at how many free agents they went out and signed, okay? I'm going to tell you right now, most of the teams, the 12 teams that made the playoffs last season, I guarantee you the most free agents that they've signed have been players on their own team. That's what the good teams do. They take care of their own. The reason why you see all these other teams out here throwing money around is because they were bad. That's what bad teams do, because bad teams are trying to get their come up. All right. And the only way for them to come up quickly, because no one wants to be bad. No one wants to admit that it's a process. Okay. When you look, it's hard to look your fan base in the eyes and say, "Oh, look, we sucked pretty bad last year. And it's going to take us about 3 years to fix this. But we want y'all to ride with us while we fixing this." No one wants to hear that, okay? Everyone wants to be that first, from worst to first story, okay? How do you do that? you go out and get free agents, and you do it. You got to do it up big and strike it big in the draft. So while it's frustrating as a Packers fan, I know to only have signed Nick Perry right now, it's frustrating. I understand. I get it. But at the end of the day, that's what the good teams do. Look at the Vikings. They've re-signed a bunch of their own players. I think they went out and signed like Michael Griffin. That's it. They haven't done anything big. Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs. Same thing. Go look at the list of guys. A bunch of players that were on their team last year, and they went out and got like one or two players. Mitchell Schwartz is the biggest free agent fish right now that they went out and got. You look around the league at the teams that made the postseason, you're not going to see a lot of action out of them. Okay, one or two free agents here that they may have signed, but for the most part, it's crickets. It's the teams that didn't make the playoffs last year. It's the teams that struggled last year on one side of the football or both that are making moves. Don't feel bad. That's the way the good programs and organizations handle themselves. So you're accustomed to this. If you're a Packers fan, this is what the Packers do each and every single year. I know it's not ideal for a fan because you see all these teams out there getting guys that you would love to bring in Green Bay, but that's just not how Ted Thompson and company operate. So at the end of the day, you sit on your thumbs, you sit on your hands during free agency time, and you let your guys do what they do best, and that's pick them in the draft and coach them up once they get them on the roster and hope that you continue to get better in Green Bay. Let's continue on. Let's see what we got. Okay. I'm about to knock down all. Okay. So is the audio bad, guys? Please tell me, because I don't know. I can't hear it. So if the audio is bad, I just got it from Adidas design company. The audio is very choppy. Somebody let me know if the audio is bad, so I can try to fix it. Because I don't want the audio to be garbage and you guys, I finished and I talked for a whole hour and a half. I look up and you guys are telling me that and I see that the audio was horrible throughout. So I'm hoping that the audio has cleared itself up. I can't hear it, so I don't know when the audio goes bad. So if you guys could, audio is choppy for sure. Okay, thank you. So what I'm gonna do is see if I can't get this audio straightened out, guys. Give me 1 second while I try to get this audio squared away. Hopefully that helped. You guys let me know if the audio is still choppy. And I'm gonna have to figure this out. I'm gonna start troubleshooting on my end because there's nothing worse than me doing this and then going back and the audio is horrendous because I can't stand it. And I know as a viewer, you guys out there, I'm pretty sure you can't stand it either. And if I'm somebody coming to the channel and I hear that audio, I'm not watching the video. So I totally get that, and I want to clean that up. So if you guys could let me know if the audio has cleaned up at all, or if it's still really, really choppy. If it's still choppy, then I don't know. I might have to end the broadcast because I don't want to keep going if the audio. Even though I know some of you guys don't mind, I still don't want to have you guys up here if the audio is horrendous because, again, I wouldn't want to listen to it, and that's me. So I don't want to put something out there for you if you guys can't hear it well. Appreciate that, Slip, telling me that it was choppy for sure. Give me another update, Slip. Somebody out there, give me another update because I don't want to keep going and the audio is still all jacked up. But just to give you guys another update, Jarrell Freeman is now a Chicago Bear. Okay, so the audio just got bad in the last 10 minutes. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pause for station identification. I'm gonna come right back to y'all. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna try something. I don't know if this is gonna work. this whole live stream thing, so I'm kind of getting used to it. I'm getting into a rhythm now, so I'm gonna be dangerous once I get this thing locked up and I figure it out. Okay, we're gonna be doing this a lot more often, guys, and I think you guys like this format, and I like doing this because I love interacting with you guys and talking football. You know, that's what I love to do, talk football. So, all right, sounds like the audio has gotten better, and I hope it's still that way. I am nobody asked the question. Now I gotta go fish that question out because he asked something, but I don't know what because I was so busy trying to figure out what was going on with the audio. So I'm gonna try to go fish out that man's question. Let's see what we got. See if I can find it. And I thank all of you for giving me that update too, man. I really appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. Audio is cool. Good. All right. Now we can hear you. Good. All right. I feel good. All right. All right. Now y'all put me at ease. Y'all put me at ease. Okay. Good. All right. Let's go. Let's jump back into it. Any idea where Reggie Nelson might end up? G-Man Watson, that's from Slip Ammo. He is a Cincinnati Bengals fan, so he's got a little bit of vested interest in where Reggie Nelson ends up. And to be honest with you, Slip, he hasn't met with the Redskins yet. I know the Redskins are interested, but he hasn't actually had a formal meeting with the Redskins. So until that actually takes place, I don't know how interested the Redskins are. You can tell me all day long to your face, till your face turns blue that you're interested. But if you don't bring a guy in for a meeting and kind of figure out what's going on and see if the guy fits what you're trying to do, then I don't know if you're really that interested. So the Giants definitely interested because they haven't re-signed Walter Thurman III. So I think they're definitely looking for a safety. So we'll see where Reggie Nelson ends up. Look, this is a league deprived of safeties. He's going to get work, all right? And I think the guy that needs to be signed first before Reggie Nelson potentially gets a deal, because you're talking about a veteran safety, is Eric Weddle. Both of those guys, to me, are in that second tier of safeties, the veteran guys that, are on the wrong side of 30. And so I think that once Eric Weddle comes off the board, then there'll be a high demand for Reggie Nelson, because I think teams are really looking at Eric Weddle as a guy that they want to get. And I think Eric Weddle has said yesterday that it's a decision that he's making with his agent and his family as to where he's going to go, but he's narrowed it down to two teams. Those two teams, who they are, don't know. Haven't heard. But the guy wants to win. I do know that. So I don't expect it to be, maybe a giant team that hasn't made the playoffs in, 4 or 5 years strong. So I think it may be a team that could be in the discussion as a playoff team, potentially a Super Bowl contender. And if he doesn't go to Washington or New York, and I don't think Eric Weddle is going to either one of those spots, that's going to open up a spot for a guy like Reggie Nelson to go there. So we'll see what happens with Reggie Nelson. All right. Let's see. Appreciate that at Jedi Knight NY for telling me that the audio is good now. I appreciate that. All right. I don't have any more questions at the time. So if you guys want to chime in, you got something to ask, please do so. But I'm going to jump into some more of this news until I get some more questions or comments or anything from you guys out there. Jarrell Freeman. And look, one of the better coverage linebackers in the league. He can run. And in a league where linebackers aren't great in coverage, I would have thought Jarrell Freeman would have been off the board already. And to see him last until day 4 of this thing, a little head scratching. But there were some other guys that were higher priority out there in free agency, so I get it. But he finally signed his deal with the Chicago Bears. And so the Bears, I'm going to tell you what, you want to talk about a team that made some upgrades. And remember, John Fox, last year to me, you want to talk about coach of the year and one of the best coaching jobs done last year, go to Chicago, okay? I thought Adam Gase did a remarkable job with that offense. I thought Vic Fangio did a remarkable job with the defense. And I thought all around, John Fox did a fabulous job with a team that I thought was void of talent. And to see what they were able to do. And I think they won like 6 games with the lack of talent that they had. And for them to go out and make the moves they made this year, I think the Bears are building something out there. Keep in mind, the Bears got 2 first-round picks this year. And you're thinking to yourself, Bears got 2 first-round picks? No, they don't actually have 2 first-round picks. But remember, the first-round pick from last year, Kevin White, didn't play a snap. So that's like that's like a brand new first-round pick to me. I don't know about you. That's another first-round pick in addition to them picking in the first round this year. They got their wide receiver back in Alshon Jeffrey. Never, ever trust a man with 2 first names. Offensively, I love what the young fella did out there at the running back position and Kendall Langford. Jeremy Langford. I thought Jeremy Langford was phenomenal. I thought he was so good. I got a question up here on the little question and answer box, man. I'm excited about that. I'm going to get to that one next. I don't actually know. Okay, I see the name too. Oh, I'm excited about that. Got the questions going on the question Q&A box up here. I'm getting excited, man. Look, I thought Jeremy Langford was outstanding. I thought his production when Forte went down last year gave them a glimpse as to what they could do without Matt Forte. And that's why he's not back in Chicago right now, because they feel confident that Jeremy Langford and some of their other backs on their football team can carry the load. And I like Martellus Bennett. I like the receivers that they have. I think the offensive line, Jermon Bushrock, got old. They got rid of him, and they went out and addressed that already. So I like what they're doing in Chicago. They go out, they get Danny Trevathan. They go out, they get Jarrell Freeman. They went last year and got Donnell Ellerbe, or it wasn't Donnell Ellerbe. It was a guy from the Ravens. His name escapes me right now, but they're building something out there. I really like what the Bears are doing defensively. And if they could just figure out how to get that defensive line intact, because Eddie Goldman was awesome last year. He needs help. If they can figure that out, figure out the secondary. They got some young guys out there, that they like at the safety position. They drafted a guy out of Penn State that I actually was high on coming out of the draft at safety. And I thought he actually had an okay season at safety. They went and re-signed Tracy Porter. They're doing some things in Chicago. Don't be surprised if the Bears they make a step forward next year and they start competing in the NFC North Division. Would not surprise me nor shock me in the least, going out and making some of the moves that they've made over the last couple of years. All right, let's see. We got some more on YouTube. And I got some action on Twitter. We're going to get to y'all on Twitter. I see a couple of comments there. All right. Keith Cobb asked the following. What are the Ravens going to do in the rest of free agency? Ravens are another one of these teams that typically doesn't do much in free agency. Last year was a down year for them, so they were a little bit more aggressive, but still not going to do a lot. I mean, going out and getting Benjamin Watson, I thought was good for them, because I thought the tight end position was actually one of the better positions on the team, but then you look at one of the tight ends being suspended for the first 4 games of the season for violating the drug policy in the league. You still don't know what's going to happen with your other tight end who always gets injured, who hasn't been right since the hip injury, Dennis Pitta. So I like going out and getting Benjamin Watson, a guy that had a resurgence last year in New Orleans. You lose Kelechi Osemele in free agency. So that's probably going to be something you're going to have to fix in the draft. I don't know if free agency is the time to do that. I think you're going to look to address it. And, that's what Ozzie does. That's why the slogan is, "In Ozzie we trust," because Ozzie's going to go out, patch up some of these holes. You need Bashad Perriman to come out and ball. And to be honest with you, I was looking forward to the Ravens being a little bit more aggressive in free agency at receiver if they could. And we'll see what they do in the draft. They got to get more receivers, I think. They need some more help there. They're going to need some offensive line help, obviously. And I think they need to get some more pass rushing presence. Terrell Suggs getting up there in age. You're going to need to address the pat. And he got in trouble. He just got, I want to say, something up in Arizona where he didn't have his license and something. I think he got in an automobile accident, something. So he could have a sanction coming his way. Who knows? At the end of the day, you need help defensively and you need some help on the offensive line, and you need some more receivers. So it wouldn't shock me if they did something in one of those few areas, but I think where they're going to spend the most of their resources is, and the majority of their resources is in the draft, which is what they do the best and among the best of any team in the league. I think Cincinnati is the best at the draft itself, but the Ravens do an incredible job through the draft as well. All right, I got a message on Hangout, so I'm about to read this. I'm excited about this message on Hangout. Randolph Carter Jr. asked the following: thoughts on Anquan Boldin's future? And on the flip side, the wide receiver situation in San Francisco. Good question. All right, so I look at the 49ers, and they went out and got Torrey Smith last year, and he's a guy that can take the top off the defense, but he's not a consistent receiver. Torrey Smith can blaze a team for 8 catches for 162 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 72-yard touchdown and a 55-yard touchdown. And then the next 2 weeks, we'll have a combined 3 catches. That's Torrey Smith in a nutshell. So you want a guy that can do all of the stuff underneath, like an Anquan Boldin. I think Anquan Boldin is getting to that point in his career where he just wants to win, and he wants to settle down in an area where he's comfortable. Maybe because he's been to the Super Bowl before and he's won one, it's not as important to him to, be in a situation where he has to win. He just wants to be comfortable. Or maybe he does want to win. We'll see what's going to happen with Anquan Boldin, because if the 49ers were hell-bent on keeping him around, they would have already re-signed him by now. And I don't know if it's one of those situations where you tell him, all right, go out, see what the actual market is for you. You come back with a number to us, and we'll go from there. Or if it's just a situation where the 49ers like, wait, we just want to move on, man. You go your way, we go our way. So I don't know what the situation is. I'd like to think that they want him back in San Francisco. That's just me thinking that if it's not broken, don't fix it. But remember, Chip Kelly's here, and maybe Anquan Boldin doesn't fit what Chip Kelly wants to do. So we'll see what happens with Anquan Boldin. And as far as the receivers are concerned in San Francisco, I feel like they've been missing over the last few years, whether it's Patton or it's Bruce Ellington. None of these guys have really moved the needle for me. I'm just like, these guys don't make me excited. I just go, when I look at the receivers in San Francisco. So you got Torrey Smith, who can take the top off the defense. You need some stuff out there at receiver, if you ask me. And so I'd love for them to bring back Anquan Boldin, because Anquan does all the dirty work. He blocks, he catches the ball over the middle. He does all the dirty work at the receiver position that most guys in the league don't want to do. So I'd love to see him come back. And then I'd love to see them go out and address the receiver position in the draft. But this is a different system. The way the 49ers is going to be totally different. It's going to be changed because Chip Kelly runs a totally different offense. So a guy like Anquan Boldin may not fit in San Francisco. But these smaller receivers like Bruce Irvin or Ellington, and a guy like Quentin Patton may fit perfectly in what Chip Kelly wants to do. They're quicker receivers. They're not as fast, but they're quicker than fast. So they may have a home in San Francisco now. And they may look a lot better than they have over the last 2 seasons. We'll see. It's the unknown is what's scary in San Francisco right now, because you don't know what the organization, the staff is thinking about the current crop of receivers. All I know is that I fully expect them to draft at least one receiver this upcoming season. All right. Let's jump into, I think I got a message on Hangouts. Let's see. All right, got a message on Google Hangouts. Says, really want my Chargers, and this is from Craig Smith. Says, really want my Chargers to get Ramsey at 3, but with what the Browns are trying to do with Cap, I'm worried he may not make it to us. Starting to think the Titans may pull the trigger on him. Great question. All right, so let me get a drink first. And you cats on Twitter, I'm coming your way. And I'm going to let you know right now, at JWazer SCXX, my man Raider Luke 91, you didn't put Louie Tee live as your hashtag on your comment. I'm going to still read it if I get a chance, though. But because you didn't do that, I'm going to put you in the back of the line. All right, I'm going to get you at Jedi Knight And while I got you, I see you over there. I'm gonna get, but let me get to this real quick because this is intriguing. This is fascinating to me. Okay, so I've heard the same thing you heard. Titans potentially looking at Ramsey at 1. And look, when you're at 1, everybody's in play. All right. I expect this from the Titans. You don't expect them to tell you, yeah, we're gonna take Tunzel, or we're gonna take Ramsey, or we're gonna take Boza, or we're gonna take whoever. Okay. I just don't see that. So you know they're gonna be having everyone in the discussion because they want this pick to have, because the Titans would really like to get out of 1, to be honest. So if they could coax somebody to come up and take 1 off their hands, they would love it. But it's not gonna happen. They're gonna make a pick at 1. And I think when it's all said and done, I think it's going to be Laramie Tunzel because they got Marcus Mariota at quarterback. And I know Titans fans don't want to hear that. But they got Marcus Mariota at quarterback. They have to protect their investment. Last year, he took way too many shots. He got injured. They need to protect him much better than they did last year. And I think Laramie Tunzel allows them to fix 2 positions. And you've heard that throughout the offseason, that if you draft Tunzel, you put him at right tackle, and that allows you to move Taylor Lewan over to right tackle, and you fix 2 positions. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone is what I think they're going to do. So that leaves us at Cleveland. Now, what it sounds like, the Browns are going to get Colin Kaepernick. And if they do that, that may take them out of drafting a quarterback at 2, which would make a lot of sense. At that point, then you turn your attention to, Joey Boza and Jalen Ramsey. And I'm thinking that Ramsey is probably going to be that guy. They could be interested in Miles Jack, though, too. So you don't know what the Browns are going to do, but you should be worried, though, because the Titans could take Jalen Ramsey. And if the Browns somehow, some way get a quarterback in free agency via trade, and I'm basically talking about Colin Kaepernick. If they get Colin Kaepernick, I think they're going to take Jalen Ramsey too. And that would suck because I would love to see him go to San Diego. And I know Chargers fans would be elated to have a guy come in and really be a change the game type of guy, because I absolutely love Jason Verrett. If you can get Jalen Ramsey and pair him up in that secondary, whether he's at safety or corner, I don't give a damn. With Jason Verrett, stop it, man. Stop it. So, because I love Jeremiah Tauchu. I love Jerry Tauchu, and I think that you're going to start getting pressure up front. And if you put some guys in the back half that can make plays on the football with what you're building up front, I'm not saying. I'm just saying. All right. So, appreciate you getting at me, Craig, on Google Hangout. All right. So, let's get back to, let's get on Twitter. At Jedi Knight NY asks the following. How do you feel about Cousins being tagged and RG3 being let go? I came late, not sure if you spoke about this. No, I haven't spoke about that, but I don't feel any way about Robert Griffin III being released because, frankly, he didn't get the job done. And at the end of the day, most of us Redskins fans came to the realization that he wasn't the guy in D.C. And it sucked because my whole thing was I didn't want to waste picks. I was like, man, I just want him to work out, not for the sake of us just getting a quarterback that provides us with stability because we haven't had it in such a long time. My biggest thing was, look, I don't want to, I hate wasting stuff, okay? In real life, I hate wasting stuff. You're not going to eat the rest of those fries? Let me have them, man. Don't waste those fries. Don't throw that in the trash. You're not going to drink the rest of that? Let me have it. Well, I don't know. I don't drink behind people, but you get where I'm going with this. Don't waste stuff. So when we gave up those picks, I was like, look, we can't waste those picks, man. He's got to be something. Well, I got 2012 out of him, man. For as much as I hate to admit that the Redskins wasted some picks and a lot of assets, and it really hurt us in terms of growing our football team, because when you don't draft in the first round for 2 consecutive years, that stunts the growth of your football team. It hurts because first round picks are vital cornerstones in building foundations of any organization. Your first round picks are supposed to be guys that you don't mess on, that turn into stars for your football team. And we didn't have a chance to pick those guys for 2 straight years. It hurt. So I did get 2012 out of the mix, but at the end of the day, I have no ill will towards Robert. He did not work. He did not grow as a quarterback in Washington. He didn't fit Jay Gruden's scheme. He got Mike Shanahan fired. I don't have any remorse for him because a lot of what happened to him was brought on himself. I do feel bad that it didn't work for him in Washington because as a fan, you wanted it to work, but it didn't. And as far as Kirk Cousins is concerned, I love Kirk Cousins. All right. Kirk came in. He didn't want to be in Washington because he saw what happened with Robert in terms of them drafting Robert and what they gave up to get Robert. He didn't feel like his future was in Washington. And he felt bad because he said, damn, I'm not even going to get a chance here. I'm going to waste 3 or 4 years of my career rotting behind Robert Griffin III and not really being able to showcase my skills to anybody. And he waited, he bought his time. And when the opportunity came, Kirk Cousins took full advantage. It wasn't pretty last season or 2 seasons ago with the interceptions and all that stuff, but he learned valuable lessons through experience. And to me, with quarterbacks, that's the only way they're going to learn. It's through experience. Look, I want my quarterback to sit down for a year if at all possible, but at some point you got to put him in because, again, quarterbacks are going to learn through experience. He got his experience. He came out, he balled last year, and he deserves to be franchised, and he deserves a long-term deal, and I can't wait till the Redskins finally get that done with Kirk Cousins. Moving right along. All right. So my man at JWazzer SCXX Raider Luke 91 finally got that Louie Tee live hashtag going. So I'm gonna answer this question. Who do you think the Raiders are gonna take at 14? Easy. Jack Conklin, tackle out of the Michigan State. That's who you're taking at 14. I feel like the Raiders want to solidify this offensive line in front of Derek Carr. They want, and look, you still haven't re-signed Donald Penn. So there's a void on that offensive line at left tackle as we speak. I'm not even really sure that right tackle is solidified between Watson and the dude you got from the Jets, and his name escapes me right now, but those 2 guys aren't really solidifying anything. So I'm not sure that Menelik Watson and the other guy from the Jets, I can't remember his name right now, but it doesn't matter. Neither one of those guys, to me, have locked up the right tackle position either. So I think tackle is a glaring need for this football team. You went out and got Kelechi Osemele to come in and be a guard. We know Gabe Jackson is a monster. So I think offensive lineman going to be your best bet at 14. The top 2 tackles in Ronnie Stanley and Laramie Tunsil going to be long gone. So I believe that leaves Jack Conklin there for you at 14, and I think that's exactly who you guys are going to take. All right, moving right along. I think I got some action on YouTube, I think, and I do. So let's jump on that and see what the action is there and see what you guys are saying on YouTube. Audio getting choppy again. God damn it. Thank you. You said it's better now. I don't know which one came first, but hopefully it is better now. And for some reason, it goes in and out. It does this because it did that on my last video. It's very frustrating because it'd be choppy for like 5 minutes, and then it'd go back to being good, and then it'd go choppy for 15 minutes, and then it'd go back to being good. I don't know why it does this, folks. I don't know. I wish I did. All right, so I'm searching the hashtag Louie Tee live just to make sure if somebody actually wrote me something, but they didn't do it at me, I'd still be able to see it. So I'm looking up Louie Tee live hashtag to make sure that there are no more comments on Twitter. Because last time I did this, I didn't. Okay. So Craig L. Smith Jr. at top_fly asked the same question he asked me on Hangout. So, but he didn't send it at me. So I missed that one, but I already answered it. So we're good there. So I'll come back and check that just in case anybody hasn't been able to get at me with. But let's go back and talk some more. I don't have any more tweets as it stands right now, and I don't think I got any more action on YouTube. So I'll just talk again and talk about some of the moves that have been made or potentially could be made. Rod Streeter is now a Kansas City Chief. For you Raiders fans out there, I know you probably don't care. Rod Streeter never really materialized in Oakland the way that a lot of Raiders fans would have liked, but he's now a Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs player. And you know how that goes in a division. Nobody knows your players more than a divisional foe. Chiefs saw Rod Streeter, probably saw a little bit of potential in him, and so They poached him away from the Oakland Raiders. So, free agency is winding down. We're going to start to get into the second tier of players in free agency. You're going to start to see all the big names are off the market at this point. Now you're going to start to see the second wave of guys who teams were waiting on for the market to kind of dry up, a lot of the money to go away, and for some of these guys to have to settle for some of the, lower tier deals now that a lot of the money is dried up. So now you're going to start to see a number of those second and third wave of free agents starting to sign with teams, and those bargain basement deals, those are going to start to happen right about now. So you're going to see some teams that have been relatively quiet start to jump into the mix now as free agency now is about to really simmer down, and the focus is now going to be switched back towards the draft. And what free agency does is it allows you to set up your board. So I think teams now know exactly what the needs are, okay? Because they went out in free agency, addressed some of the needs that they had. Like, I'll give you an example. The Giants. Defensive end was a huge need for them. They got no pressure on the quarterback last year. And so at 10, the consensus was, okay, they're taking a guy like Shaq Lawson or Kevin Dodd or one of these edge pass rushers at 10. Now, with the signing of Olivier Vernon and re-signing JPP, you don't need to take a defensive end at 10. Maybe they still could. We know the Giants love to do that. We know what their track record says, but they don't need to take a defensive end at 10. So the free agency can change the way you look at the draft, and it changes your draft board. So we'll see what happens. But no more action on Twitter. I don't think we have anything going on. Okay, we got a question here on YouTube. Mr. DCB215 asked the question, should the skin sign inside linebacker Donald Butler? He played with Joe B in San Diego. Joe B would be more familiar with him and what Donald Butler would bring to the table. Donald Butler has been a guy that you feel like should be better than what he's been throughout his career in the National Football League. That being said, I'm all for adding guys to this roster. What you've seen from Scott McCloughan in the last 2 years in free agency is that he's not trying to sign guys that are north of 30, and he's not trying to sign a lot of guys to long-term deals. A lot of the deals that we've made with players have been short-term deals, like Terrence Knighting last year, 1-year deal. Junior Gillette last year, 1-year deal. Even this year, we poached a former San Diego Charger away from them and signed him up, and 1-year deal, okay? So they're not looking to break the bank. They're not looking to sign guys to 3-4 year deals. So I don't know if a guy like Donald Butler fits into our plans or not, because they retained both inside linebackers who were starting at the end of the season in Will Compton and Mason Foster. Neither one of those guys are getting big money, so you still don't have a lot of resources allocated into that position necessarily. But Perry Riley Jr., PRJ, still getting $5 million on the books this year. He's still on the roster. So still got Martrell Spate that you drafted last year that you're looking to develop. So I don't know necessarily if they want to go out and get a guy in free agency or not at inside linebacker. Donald Butler could be someone they consider because, again, of the experience in Joe Barry's system, and Joe Barry knows what kind of a football player he is, and if Joe Barry vouches for him, they may go out and sign a guy like that, but I don't see it happening. But then again, we're getting into that second and third tier of free agency where, all the money is basically dried up from the big teams that are big spenders. Now you're going to start seeing teams make a bunch of small little moves. So we'll see if that's a move that the Redskins decide to make, whether they sign an inside linebacker or not, or just wait until the draft and get one there. We'll see what the Redskins decide to do on that front. But Donald Butler would be an okay signing, but to me, it's not a huge upgrade over what we're currently doing at the linebacker position right now. And, I want to, if we're going to have one of those guys sit down, I want it to be because we're upgrading that position exponentially with some athleticism and a guy that can change the game, a playmaker, a difference maker. Donald Butler is none of the above. So If the Redskins were to go out and get Donald Butler, it'd be an okay signing. I wouldn't be doing backflips over it. You know, it would just be what it was. So we'll see what the Redskins decide to do with the rest of free agency, because they haven't been very active thus far, which, again, I told you from the jump, I didn't expect the Redskins to be very active. So nothing else on Twitter, nothing else in the inbox on YouTube. I've been talking for about roughly an hour and a half now, so I think it's about time to go ahead and wrap this thing up, man. I thank each and every single one of you for joining me here on the Louie Tee Network Free Agency Forum. It's been fun. Love answering your questions. Sorry for the audio, guys. I really apologize again. I'm gonna get that fixed. I'm gonna get that straightened out. But I love the different avenues. I actually got the Q&A going this time. Somebody hit me up on Google Hangouts. Got the Twitter going. Got the YouTube. I love it. Want more of it? We'll do this again here in the near future. Thank you for joining me on the program. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down anything and everything in the National Football League. I will do this again shortly. I had a great time. Hope you enjoyed it as well. I'm going to knock out all of these different technical audio difficulties in the future. Remember, I'm still new at this, but when I get it, I'm going to be dangerous. Until next time, have a good one. See you in the near future.